Harry, this is Lord Potato, and this is what if Asta was the son of Majin or Baj? No, okay, never mind. So there's two different ways to say Majin Park and all that, but yeah, from like God of High School, that one dude, this dude. Um, so let me go back into the title. What if Asta was the son of Majin Park? Yeah, you know that one baby. Yeah, I have an idea on how Asta's really the son of him, but yeah, don't worry about it. Um, but let me go into the what if. Let me actually start. I'm also gonna say one thing. It's going to be a very short what if. I don't want to make it that long because I need my sleep. I haven't really had that much good sleep, but yeah. And other than that, let me go into this what if and let me shut up, okay? So we go into Asta. Asta is in a crater. Well, not in a crater. He was kind of like in this little like carriage and all that. Same with Yuno. Of course, the father still met them, still kind of found them, still raised them as to be like the same kids like in original canon. But Asta in this what's it called, this version, he is not really the same. He does still have his grayish, silverish hair and all that. The one thing that he kind of has different is he has a necklace that's a cross. He has like this black like necklace that like they have black balls and then cross and all that. Asta kind of knows what it is. Now I should mention one thing. Asta also on his like right hand he has a golden cross, and he knows what it is. He knows everything what it is. You see here, Asta was never a normal child. He's actually a Generation X child. Now, the reason why he knows he's a Generation X child is because he knows who his father is. He knows who his mother is, kinda. He barely knows it, barely knows her, but he can only remember her having blue hair, and that's all. If I can remember right, her name was mostly her like title name was Agent P, or I think I'm talking about someone else, but she had blue hair. I don't remember her color eyes, but she had glasses, and of course, she was in love with Mujin Park. But yeah, of course, Asta knows about Mujin Park. He knows about his father. He is, well, you see here, Generation X kids are so overpowered. You see, the reason why they're overpowered is because if they're, I don't know, like 4 to 5 years old, they are actually extremely smart. They're extremely smart for being just children. If you have read the webtoon only and not watched the anime, you know about the Generation X kids. So yeah. So of course, Asta is basically a Generation X. He is basically a Generation X kid. He is also the son of a god to those Generation X kids. This is where Asta knows about his father, Majin Park, and he fucking despises him. The reason why he despises his father is the fact that his father left him to die. But of course, he remembers a girl with purple hair, and of course another person who was actually the Monkey King, and other people who was trying to protect the world and all that. And of course, Asta can remember all that, but the last thing that he kind of remembers is waking up here. Of course, he's not the reincarnation of Margin Park's kid. No, he is Margin Park's kid. He got teleported when okay. So I haven't actually seen or read the newest latest chapters for the webtoon for what's called the God of High School, but from the kind of pictures that they kind of show in the thumbnail and all that, for like if you're gonna buy coins and all that, I see Morty get a new form. I don't know how he actually gets that form. I'll kind of, I'm gonna buy coins. Okay, leave me alone. But not really. I'm not gonna try to do that. No, but really, he gets a new form, and of course, I'm just guessing that Margin Park's kid kind of help him to kind of unlock that form. But yeah. But of course, we go into Asta. Asta can remember that, but that's the only thing that he can remember. He remembers a lot of things still happening, even though he was a baby. He still remembers a lot of things. But of course, what he actually hates about himself It's a fact he's basically the blood and child of Mujin Park. The guy who decides to cause so much pain and suffering to humans. He despises himself for even being named Mujin Park. That's why when he was actually sent here, he wasn't actually named, well, what's it called, the last name Park. No, his name is Asta, just Asta. Asta knows about his last name being Park, but he's not taking it. No way in hell. Of course, Asta looks like a splitting image of Mujin Park when he was younger. Basically having black hair, but instead of having black hair, it's like grayish and whitish hair. And of course, this is where instead of Asta having an X on like his head, like his forehead, just like Mujin Park was when he was younger, he doesn't have that. But he does kind of have those like little tips of kind of like, they look like horns, but really just his hair kind of going that way, just like Mujin Park is. But yeah, you know how he has that kind of hairstyle? It's odd but weird, but this is kind of cool. But at the same time, Asta's eyes are basically the color, well, they're not green. Well, they are green in this one, because Asta actually found out to change it. Even though he doesn't have like the powers of like a god or like demigod or anything, well, he does have the power of a demigod. He is basically his child. He only call him or his or whatever because he hates kind of naming out his father's name. But yeah. But of course, Asta doesn't say anything about that. Of course, this is where Asta is the height of actually being 5'6", just like the same height as Yuno. 5'6" in original canon when they're like in Hajj Village. Of course, this is where Asta, he doesn't have magic, but of course he shows to have so many amazing skills. For just being a child, for having no magic, but to show that he has amazing skills to actually kind of disprove a lot of people. So let's go into a flashback of when Asta kind of helped Yuno. Yuno was getting bullied by that one person and took his like magic stone and all that. This is what the person says it's gonna be good and it's gonna be sell for good money. This is where Yuno said stop. This is where he was about to use his wind magic, and then the older man said, "I'll kill you if you even dare do it." That's where Yuno starts crying. Asta walks up, saying, "You should really give back my brother's chain, or I'm going to hurt you so bad." This is where the older man says, "Oh really? You're going to hurt?" He's just smashed to the ground. Asta's right now using the, well, you know the cross ability where he can make a cross and all that, and how Mujin Park can do that most of the time? Yeah, Asta's right now using that cross to smash him to the ground. Asta's using no magic, but right now Asta's eyes are so like deprived of anything. It's like emotionless. That's the only thing that the man can see. Terrified that he sees a kid with no mercy in his eyes, not even a glint of mercy. This is where when Asta lets go of the pressure of the cross and all that, the ability that he just used, the older man kind of just runs away, stumbling down and starting to run away. Throws back the magic stone. Asta catches it and gives it to Yuno. Yuno smiles and says, "Thank you, Asta." Asta says, "Yeah, let's just go." Yuno does not know why Asta is so deprived of emotions that much. Asta has to usually fake it so, like, the father of the church or even Sister Lily won't ask him multiple questions. But of course, this is where, well, we go into them back in present time. Asta is now 15, same with Yuno. Now I should mention one thing, Asta does not look that bad. He basically just looked like but let me say that again. He looks just like a spitting image of Mujin Park when he was younger. So basically, yeah. And of course, Asta just kind of seems to kind of like not smile most of the time, just like Mujin Park mostly does. But yeah, the only time he smiles is when he has an evil plan to do. But yeah, Asta is also, I should mention that he's not a big joker that much. He does a little bit of teasing and joking around, just because he doesn't want to be like the same as his father, being angry and other things and blah blah blah. Of course, he's a little bit manipulated, just like Mujin Park. That's where, well, we go into Asta kind of just walking, just like he's on top of like the demon skull, and of course, is where he's like, just like concentrating, but just like sitting down and meditating. And this is where Nosh managed to get up and say, "Asta, Sister Lily called you to kind of go over there to the church." Asta gets up and says, Nosh, how many times have I told you to stop climbing up here? If you want to get my attention, you should just throw rocks at me. This is where, well, Nosh doesn't understand why Asta, tells him that most of the time. Asta just says, but still, why does she want me anyway? She has Yuno, and Yuno so much more skill and magic and whatever. I have no magic. This is where Nosh says, well, I don't know. But still, can you help me train in my fire magic? Asta says, like I just said, go ask Yuno. This is where Asta kind of raises his voice, and this is where Nosh says, but no, I'm not gonna ask Yuno. But you're so much more incredible than Yuno. Asta says, I have no magic. Now let's just go before I kind of decide to throw you off the freaking demon skull. This is where, well, Nosh says, you wouldn't do it though. Asta grabs Nosh and says, okay, you want to try me? This is where Nosh says, wait, I'm just kidding, Asta, I'm just kidding. This is where Asta says, better be, little brat. This is where, well, they jump down. Well, mostly Asta jumps down from the demon skull and tells Nosh to jump down. This is where, well, Nosh always trusts Yuno, not Yuno, Asta. And of course, he does jump down, and of course, Asta does manage to catch him. Now, this is where Asta says, see, it wasn't that bad. This is where Nosh says, but you were going to try to kill me in the first place without you being there. I would have caught you. No, you wouldn't. And Asta says, how do you think I wouldn't catch you? Leave me alone. This is where, well, they start walking. This is where Asta just smiles a little bit, but yeah. This is where Asta, if he even lets go of Nosh and not being down there, he would have actually used his cross ability to actually make a cross platform. So, of course, Nosh wouldn't fall down to his death. This is where, well, Asta just kind of smiles and just follows Nosh. This is where, when they get to the church, this is where Sister Lily says, Asta, do you mind helping me kind of cut up some of the logs and all that? While Yuno's over here using his wind magic to kind of dry up the, well, the laundry and all that. That's why, well, Asta says, why can't Yuno do that? Clearly his wind magic will easily split through it. That's why, well, the other kid says, no, but you actually do it so much better. That's why Asta says, what do you mean so much better? Well, Yuno can use his wind magic, but you actually use your hands and actually your feet to cut them easily split open. Asta doesn't really use an axe or anything to cut it open. He actually uses his martial arts skills. The skills that since he's a Generation X, he actually has a bunch of memories of different martial art skills and all that. This is where, well, he's actually a little bit smarter than half the Generation X children when they were in the other world. He's actually, since he's the son of Martin Park, he actually has much more greater knowledge. And he has seen Morty Jim fight against his father, even though he was a baby still. And so where, well, Asta can just, he gets to the wood and all that, and he kind of just starts placing the wood around, and this is where Asta concentrates, and this is where Asta kind of rushes towards multiple logs, and of course where, well, Asta disappears. This is where half the kids can never see the blinding speed, of Asta. Asta, for being a child, for the longest point of Asta being a child, he always had this supernatural strength, supernatural speed, supernatural almost everything. He was just incredible. Without any magic, he was just always incredible. Always able to learn things really faster and in molecular level. He was actually pretty damn smarter than, well, Yuno. Yuno always did try to, well, learn faster than Asta in reading or anything else. But Asta always kind of learned faster and did also bring his own, language. His old language from a different world, like Korean and other things, into this world. And of course, he always kind of had these cryptic message, which it wasn't really cryptic message. He was just using Korean language and giving it to Yuno, saying go figure it out. This is where Yuno always had his brain twisted so many times, because Asta just loves just teasing the shit out of, well, his siblings. This is where, well, Asta just kind of disappears in blinding speed, and all the logs just gets cut in an instant. Mostly because Asta used special techniques from martial art techniques to kind of cut it through. This is where, well, Asta then catches all the wood that was actually flown up in the air because they're all cut up, and just catches them all in one hand, then places them down and says, done. That's where so many kids say, wow, good job, I mean, not Asta. They didn't say, I kind of fucked up. Asta mostly. That's where they were clapping. That's where Asta says, yeah, thank you. That's where, well, Sister Lily says, that's interesting. You're still as strong as ever, Asta. That's where Asta says, yeah, I guess so. That's where, well, Asta doesn't seem like he's not the same as the original canon, which he always be asking Sister Lily to marry him. So yeah, Asta's not like that. But yeah, this is where says, I could have done it way better. Asta says, then fight me in hand-to-hand combat, you bastard. That's where says, no, I could have done it better with my wind magic. That's where Asta gets towards him in blinding speed, like he appeared right in front of him. Asta like smacked him on the head, like he karate chopped in the head. Says, ow, you bastard. Asta says, idiot. Really, you saying that you could have done it better? Shut the fuck up. That's where, well, says, screw you. That's where Asta says, no. Now, if you don't mind me, I'm going to go back to training. Fucking drama queen, said. Asta heard it and says, what did you say, says, nothing. Asta says, oh really? Is that so true you didn't say anything? Asta always has this creepy side to him, like this angry creepy side that he like smiles while being angry. And of course his eyes always glows into this red color. That always scared the shit out of half the damn time. And so well, Asta says, if that's why you didn't say anything, then why did he call me a drama queen? That's where say, bye. He starts running. That's where Asta says, I could easily catch up to you, but I'm not gonna catch up to you. And so where Asta instead grabs a piece of log that he managed to just break into more pieces and starts throwing them at And of course is running for his life. And of course he doesn't have a wind magic barrier or anything around him. But of course where little splits of wind, not wind splits, mostly splits of log kind of pierces into knocking him out. He is knocked the fuck out. This is where the father sees it and sighs and does grab So where, well, more go-lucky a little bit more in this verse than in original canon. Reason why is because Asta is more less go-lucky. So where, well, Asta goes towards back to training, and of course she just goes back into the forest, meditating and kind of concentrating, hearing, feeling everything around him. Of course, where, well, Asta is always just he's mostly concentrating, feeling things, but of course he's mostly wanting to forget a lot of things. Well, forget mostly his father's name, but he can't. He always, every time he just remembers his father's name, he just gets a fucking image of this man right here, destroying the world. But yeah. But of course, well, Asta just kind of, shake his head and just say, damn, it's so annoying. The next day happens, and of course, it's and Asta having to go to the tower. Of course, this is where, well, saying, I wonder what kind of grimoire I'm going to get. Maybe I'm going to get some kind of stronger grimoire than you, Asta. Asta says, yeah. Sure, I know you will get a grimoire, then you can become the Wizard King. Yeah. Shut up already. You're goddamn annoying half the damn time. This is where says, God damn it, Asta. Didn't you promise me that you wanted to become the Wizard King when we were younger? Asta looks at him dead ass and says, the fuck, when the hell did I promise that? It's where goes, what the hell? Did you just forget already? No, I just never promised you something so stupid like that. And so where goes, you're so mean. And so where, well, Asta says, whatever, let's just keep going. Actually, how about this? Maybe I can remember if you can solve this little puzzle of mine. Key. That's where Asta smiles creepily. That's where says, no. Get those puzzles away from me. Get away from me, you monster. Asta says, come on, it's pretty easy to solve them. How are you this dumb? This is where says, get the fuck away from me. Those puzzles terrify me. This is where, well, we go into somewhat a flashback of them being a little bit younger. Them being actually 11. And of course, this is where they were actually learning from Sister Lily and Father, I forgot his name mostly. But of course, this is where, well, they were learning all that. And of course, was learning pretty fast, but also was learning faster. And this is where also made a puzzle. Well, not even a puzzle. He made a puzzle from another world because he's from a different world entirely. But of course, when he made this puzzle, he gave it to saying, "Here, you should definitely try to learn this. It's pretty easily." This is where Asta explains this pretty fast and not give any time for to actually learn it. Instead, just tell him to try. This is where stayed for 2 years in trying to learn this puzzle. After learning it, it just said, "How long did it take you?" That's what it just said. The whole freaking question. That's where it didn't. Well, not 2 years. It actually took him 2 months, or well, not 2 months, like 6 months entirely. And of course, where passes out from the fact he was so exhausted. His brain was just overexhausted. But yeah, it's where I also say, "Oh, come on, it's not that hard. Besides, I made a new one. You want to learn what it is?" This is where says, "Get away from me, you monster." He's saying, "No, no, no. Come on, and just go back to the freaking tower." This is where Asta says, "Fine." Asta then just crumbles the paper into his pocket and says, "Whatever, let's go." Now I should mention what Asta's wearing. Asta's not wearing like what's it called, those clothes in Majoran Canyon. Is still wearing the clothes like in Majoran Canyon, but I should mention that Asta's wearing this. This is what Asta's wearing something like this, similar towards what's it called Mujin Park when he was a teenager. But yeah, like he's wearing a black shirt, like a black long sleeve and all that, a white shirt underneath it. Of course, having his cross, like his necklace cross, and of course having black pants, like black kind of like black pants, and some shoes. But yeah, of course he's walking along with and of course also seems to just walk really like he doesn't care that much. He has both of his hands in his pocket. And of course, this is where saying, "I wonder what grimoire I'm gonna get. I hope I get the very powerful grimoire so I can become the Wizard King." So of course, still has that dream to become the Wizard King. Asta, on the other hand, doesn't really have a dream. He just doesn't have something to really actually care that much. Being the Wizard King just reminds him way too much of like being that bastard. This is where Asta just doesn't want to be like that bastard. But yeah, this is where we go into Asta. We go into the tower mostly. And this is where when they go into the tower and all that. When they go into the tower, of course, this is where everyone is getting their grimoires. Of course, this is where grimoire is so shiny, and of course it's green. But of course, this is where someone else has a grimoire that's actually pretty shiny, but it's blue, and of course she has like bluish hair. Of course, this is where she has longish bluish baby blue hair, and of course like bluish eyes. Of course, she's not much of a noble. She was kind of like born as a commoner also. But of course, she had the 40th grimoire. But she's able to use ice magic. But yeah, that's where, she kind of looks at the boy who was able to kind of pull out 4-leaf clover. And of course, then looks towards her friend. That's where, her friend is a girl with kind of blondish hair. And of course, pale blue eyes. And this is where, she managed to get a 5-leaf grimoire. That's why so many people are just winding their eyes and how these people are able to just get 4-leaf, 4-leaf, 5-leaf. That's where they're saying, but they're commoners. How? That's where Asta realized that he is getting no grimoire. He already knew that he's not from this world entirely. And this is where, Asta says, so useless. Why would I actually know? I knew I wasn't going to get a grimoire. It's pointless. Yeah, then I have to just beat the shit out of people. That's where, his necklace started kind of like glowing. That's where I also say, that's new. That shouldn't be happening. That's where, something happened. When he turns around, because the necklace was kind of like flowing up and all that and kind of pointing somewhere. That's where I also kind of turns around. That's where the necklace decides to shine a bright light towards the tower. Like all the way up. And this is where a bright light appears, kind of flowing a grimoire towards Asta. This is where Asta was confused. A grimoire that doesn't actually have clovers at all, but has a cross instead. And has a cross and the omega symbol also. But not just that, it also has what's it called, something that says, when he kind of opens the page, says demigod. Demigod Asta Park. That's where Asta gets it, known with that name. It's where, son of Mujin Park. This is where Asta gets more annoyed because how the hell does his grandmother knows about him, about who he is? This is where Asta was about to just grab the grandma and fucking throw it away because he felt fucking annoyed. He does anyway. He just grabs it and throws it. See, fucking bastard book. His face is so just in pure anger. This is where the book almost hits someone, and of course the book flies back towards Asta, and of course it flies back at high speeds. Asta grabs and says, "Why the fuck was in this book? Leave me alone." Of course, this is where it opens automatically, even if Asta's kind of grabbing it, and this is where it kind of goes to a page, and of course Asta kind of reads it, and of course where Asta understands what this book is now about. He read about, who his mother was. Her name was, what's it called? Judge P, mostly because she was like someone working under Martin Park and all that. But of course, her real name was, so I don't actually know what her actual name is because the only thing that's actually remembering is her name was just, her kind of like code name was just Judge P. Basically a secretary for, Martin Park. And of course, I don't actually know her actual real name, so I'm gonna just call her just Sienna. So of course, where Asta kind of sees it, and of course he wants to cry, cause he now understands who his mother is and the other things. But of course, he was reading this extremely fast. But of course, it kind of turned into another page forcibly, and this is where other people were just confused, looking at the grimoire that Asta has. This is where Asta didn't understand who actually gave him this book. It was none other than his father. His father, with the last bit of power that he had, decides to give all the godly power into this grimoire because he knows where he sent Asta. He sent Asta to another world just so Asta wouldn't be hated by the people because he knows that Morty Jim will not be able to kind of stop the hatred from, onto Asta. Of course, he knows that his son is going to hate him forever. That's why he at least wanted to save his son. So of course he made a dimensional portal, sending Asta through it, but also when he was getting killed by Morty Jim because he knew he wasn't going to defeat Morty Jim in his newfound power. So of course the last bit of power mixed with the god that he would kind of seal inside him, mixed with that power, seal everything into this grimoire. All this grimoire has basically Majin Park's full power inside it, even the god's power in it. This is where Asta is kind of shocked and horrified that even his father, in his last bit of life, he still cared about him. This is where Asta wanted to cry, but this is where Asta seems to not cry. Just shows to kind of be more determined. He doesn't hate Morty Jim, of course. He also does notice that Margin Park did write him something that's saying don't hate Morty Jim for it. It was his foolish plan. It was only his plan. Only don't hate your mother. Don't hate me. Hate me, however much you want, but don't hate your mother. Don't hate anyone else. I would take all the hatred, my son. That's where Asta just really wanted to cry, but Asta seems to not cry. Instead, he just seems to be more determined. Like a new changing founding thing happened to him. But of course, the book was still glowing in this godly aura power. Now I should mention one thing. It has a cross and it has the Omega symbol on the back. So of course, it's going to have a lot of things of this power. So yeah. But also, I should mention one thing. That if you know all the movesets and power attacks that was called Majin Park did. Majin Park did against Morty Jim most of the time. Or even what's called Dwayne Han. Or, Mira, that's her name. The girl with kind of white hair. She had it before blondish, not blondish, orange, but then turned to white. But don't worry about that. If you know what's it called, Margin Park was kind of defeating them pretty easily, even though they were the strongest trio, but they were still getting their asses kicked. Then you know what Asta is going to be having. So Asta, even with that kind of newfound information, that's where, Asta just seems to have a little bit of hope in his eyes. This is where, people were just shocked with the godly founding, power that Grimoire was showing off. And of course, where Asta, he kind of just looks up because everyone was looking at him. And this is where Asta, with his cold eyes, said, "What the fuck you all looking at?" This is where everyone looks away. This is where, one person smiles and says, "What an interesting grimoire." This is where, so many people are so confused with the fact of 4-leaf grimoire users, mostly 2 users of the 4-leaf, one girl that's able to have a 5-leaf, and someone that has basically a fucking cross. Just a cross grimoire, and it's pretty big, and it's just glowing with godly power. That's where, Asta is standing next to Yuno, and Yuno is just saying, "Seems that you actually did get a grimoire, but it doesn't have any clovers." That's where the grimoire kinda, it like had a mind of its own, and the grimoire just changes from having a cross to having, the clovers kind of surround the cross, so it just has like so many clovers around the cross, just kind of like shaping the cross. But yeah, and that's where Asta says, it seems like Grimoire kind of heard you and decides to change it myself. And that's where, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm done counting. Okay, Jesus Christ. Fuck you, Grimoire. Can you hear that? That's where the Grimoire seems to not really take that lightly. And, of course, where, on one of the blank pages, it just says, "Fuck you, too." This is where it opens just automatically. This is where gets angry and says, "I'm gonna burn you, fucking bastard." This is where, Asta says, "Touch my book and I'm breaking all your limbs." This is where, says, "Fuck off. God damn it." But yeah. This is where, the old man says, "I hope with all your founding power, you manage to become great magic wizard knights. And some of you might become lucky and become the wizard king, but whatever. But good luck in all of that." This is where, went outside. He kind of waited first to kind of talk to the wizard, even Asta was there. This is where the other 2 girls kind of also stayed. This is where, the guy whose chain was just waiting. This is where, wanted to talk about the 4-leaf and what it actually meant. This is where, the wizard explains about the 4-leaf and the 5-leaf. This is where, the rumors is because they have a teammate. And this is where he can't really explain about Asta's book. Asta just says, "I already know what it is anyway. It doesn't really need too much explaining or anything." This is where, what's calm. Says, "If you know what it is, I hope it can give you magical powers." This is where Asta says, "Magic? Nah, I hope it just teaches me more how to use my arms and legs and gives me more powerful techniques so I can break your bones into a million pieces." We go to a flashback of one time happening. Was using his wind magic, thinking that if he uses the long range and not let Asta get close to him at all, he will win. Asta, what he does is call Wind Pressure Blue Dragon and smashes it upon, Yuno gets knocked the fuck out. So Yuno is now terrified, saying, "Wait, please tell me that's not what the grimoire says." This is where, the grimoire opens and starts kind of like writing down a lot of things. This is where, Asta says, "Oh yeah." Here's where Yuno says, "Wait, Asta, no. I'm just kidding. We should definitely not fight. No, you don't want to break the church again, do you?" This is where, Asta says, "Fine, I won't fight you unless you solve my puzzle. This is where he gives it to Yuno. Yuno's now terrified. He's like, "But my training. Solve the puzzle. I'm gonna break your bones." That's where Yuno's like, "Fine, you monster." This is where both girls who were actually behind Asta and Yuno were just so damn confused about them. This is where, they kind of know about Asta and Yuno's presence being in they're in Hajj Village and all that. They also live around there, but they live in houses. They don't live in the church and all that. This is where, they know a little bit about the church and how one kid was gifted with magic and the other one was gifted with just being a genius mostly. This is where, they're right now seeing the 2 boys kind of just friendly fight. Usually says this as not a friendly fight, mostly Asta trying to murder him, and Asta kind of always sees this as, yes, mostly as a friendly fight. Kinda. But yeah, this is when they get outside. This is where, well, you know what's right now struggling with the puzzle, and this is where, well, um, this is where, well, the chain dude appears saying, "Give me your grimoires." This is where he managed to capture Yuno. Also dodge. This is where the girl with icy blue hair tries to use her ice magic, but of course it gets pierced through and she gets also trapped. This is where, well, the blonde haired girl managed to jump away, and of course this is where Asta says, "Hey, what is this all about?" This is where Yuno is not still paying attention. He might have the chains around him, but this is where he has one arm free and having the puzzle. This is where he's saying, "How am I gonna do this?" This is where, well, the chain dude's saying, "Now I have your grip." What are you doing? This is where, managed to break one of the chains because he's actually physically strong a little bit. He managed to just push one of the chains and saying, "How the hell do I do this?" This is where, well, Asta says, you want to shut up. This is where Asta says, I'll just do this myself. This is where, well, the person says, you stop me? I don't know how that kid managed to break one of his arms free just to kind of, what is he even doing? Asta says, don't pay attention to him. Pay attention to me. This is where the guy says, you a magicless kid. Why should I pay attention to you? What are you going to do? Asta says, easy. Yin Yang. This is where one of his hands appears a cross, but it was black and it was upside down from his actual other cross being up towards his fingers and all. This is where it was facing the other way, mostly to his palm. And this is where Asta says Yin Yang style. This is where he then uses the golden cross to make a platform on top of, well, the person, smashing him down to the ground and just like, well, not smashing him to the ground, mostly smashing his grimoire to the ground. And this is where he uses the Yang one to make a cross appear to the side of this man, ripping apart, like, just destroying a good chunk of this man. This is where the guy falls down screaming right now in just pain. Asta looks at the grimoire. This is where Asta grabs it, and this is where Asta says, Yang. This is where he gets a good chunk of the fucking book gone. This is where Asta says, you on the other hand should die. This is where Asta's face is just shown no emotions. This is where the girl on the other side saying, "Holy shit, hot." This is where, well, her other friend saying, "How can you think of this right now? What the, you idiot, fucking help me." This is where, well, the blonde hair girl is like, "Oh wait, fuck, sorry about that, SF." This is where SF says, "You fucking idiot, Junko, just help me." This is where Junko managed to break the chains a little bit by kind of using her magic. It was kind of darkness and just ripping them off. Also, they were just kind of breaking pretty easily because managed to just break out and trying to still figure out this puzzle. He's right now struggling. That's where Asta gets to the man and says, die. Asta fucking sends a fucking knee to the person's head, knocking his ass out. That's where Asta then just steps on him just because he needs to get to the church. And of course the person was right in front of him, so of course step. Didn't just walk around and just step on him. That's where Asta says, come on, we're gonna get late to the church. Hurry up and get over here. That's where says, right. That's where he grabs his grimoire and says, wait, did I just grab the wrong one? Sorry about that here. That's where he throws it towards SF and SF says, did you just grab mine? Sorry about that. It's kind of right now, his mind is in the other thing, trying to figure out this goddamn puzzle that fucking Awesome makes him do half the damn time. That's where he grabs his grimoire and starts running towards, well, Asta. This is where he does step on that person and starts running off. This is where he says, wait for me, Asta. Asta gets to the, well, says, if you don't hurry up, I'm gonna basically run to the church. Lock the door and make sure you stay outside. That's where he says, you wouldn't do that, right? Asta disappears in a blinding speed of light, and this is where, well, not light, mostly speed. This is where, well, pales and says, wait, no, this is where he says, not, he says, Asta, no, wait. He starts running, trying to get towards the church. Asta appears at the church, locks it, and says, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. This is where Nash says, wait, did you get a grimoire? Asta says, I guess so. I really don't care. This is where, well, Asta says, here, Nosh, you can have this grimoire. This is where Nosh says, really? This is where when he touches the grimoire, it feels kind of heavy for him. And saying, nope, take the grimoire. This is where Asta says, really? It's heavy? We're really going to have to work on those tiny bones of yours. Nosh. This is where Asta's eye kind of goes really red. That's where he pales. He says, "Wait, no, I'm not Yuna. Please don't make me do that shit." This is where, well, Asta says, "Why would I ever do that to my younger brother? Unless he pissed me off enough." This is where Nosh gets scared. This is where Sister Lily says, "Asta." Asta says, "Sorry." This is where Yuna saying, "Open the door, you bastard." This is where Asta says, no. This is where Asta goes to his room and just goes to sleep. Okay, he just doesn't care. Well, not room, mostly just goes to bed early, but yeah, this is where, well, Sister Lily had to open the door, and this is where Yuna's like, "That bastard, he would have just left me out there for no reason." This is where the father managed to get back and says, "Huh? What just happened?" "Yuna, you got a 4-leaf grimoire? I'm so proud of you." "What about Asta?" "Asta a grimoire with 28 leaves." "Ah, oh, okay. Wait, what?" "No, I'm just kidding. The grimoire just changes if you talk shit about it most of the time." This is where, well, the father says, "Huh? It has a cross and an omega, some kind of symbol in the back." This is where, well, the father says, "What is he, praised by God?" This is where, well, says, "I guess I'm praised by the god of luck and he's praised by actual God." This is where the father says, "Where's he at now?" "Sleeping." "Damn it." But yeah, the next day happens, and of course, they kind of celebrate, but of course, I still went to kind of train, but yeah. But this is where I'm going to leave it off. I know I said I was going to do it for a little bit of time, but I did it over time, and I am such an idiot, but yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it off here and have a nice potato day. Potato night, potato sleep, potato. I just wanted to kind of get to the point where Asta kind of gets Grimoire, but yeah. Is Asta going to have magic? Hell the fuck no. Maybe. I don't know. Not really. But really, he is going to be having the powers of basically Mujin Park somewhat, okay? Is he going to have divine powers? You're going to have to just see into the future. But yeah, other than that, have a nice potato, night, potato, and good night. Bye.